nature. Like I'm probably I wouldn't be near that good, but definitely something that I could have done and had planned to do at college. So
Yeah,
it would
so
have been fun to try.
I mean that would have been awesome. Yeah, I mean obviously Shohei Ohtani is showing it that he's one of the stars out there right now. And but I want to ask you though, take me back to your recruiting process. Obviously you said LSU, but what other offers did you get, and what was the recruiting process like? And how long did it take you to decide which school to go to?
I was kind of a late bloomer. I moved to I had a big growth spurt my junior year. Um, and that kind of and I went from being 5'4" to 6 foot, and and put on 30 pounds and things of that nature. And then I went from 89, 90 to 93, 95. So when that came on, it started getting a lot more. So I actually got way, way, way more interest at the pro level on the baseball side. I mean, I talked to a lot of colleges like Ole Miss and Arkansas, Louisiana. I definitely wanted to go SEC. Um, and then I had plenty of offers other places. I had a lot of D3 offers, D2 offers, and a couple of D1 offers on the football side. But for me, Louisiana State and being a two-way guy there, that would have been pretty nuts. So yeah, I mean, I definitely enjoyed football. I probably had actually enjoyed it more than baseball, just from my mindset and things of that nature. If you don't like it, it really is play better, and baseball is a little bit different than that. So
Yeah, so take me that experience. Obviously, for this generation, it's really important for these kids to play multiple sports because to learn the aspects of each game. But for you, what was it like for you just to play two sports in college, like football? Obviously, you were a linebacker in football too, and what was it like just to have two sports just to learn the aspects of it?
um, I mean, luckily, like my high school program where I graduated from and where I was drafted out of was a lot like a college. I mean, we had a 80-yard indoor football facility with full weight rooms and things of that nature. So it was really Texas football. Um, but I see so many kids. I do a lot of youth camps around the country now as part of More Than Baseball, and something that I love to do, something that I'm looking at getting into a lot more heavily. But the more and more I travel around, the more and more I hear about kids doing baseball only. And I truly, truly don't believe in that. I won't allow my 6-year-old to do it. It's not a sport that should be played nonstop. It's such a unilateral sport. You're either, unless you're a switch hitter, which there are some, but you're always throwing with the same arm, right? And one side's developing more. And now you're talking about kids where they're going through their developmental ages, um, training to do one thing. And I think that that's leading to more and more injuries. So my son will always play multiple sports if he's going to play a sport.
Hmm. So I want to get to your draft experience. What was it like waiting with your family and friends and waiting for your name to be called? And when you see that area code, the New York area code, and whether it's the Mets or the Yankees, but what was the feeling like once you got drafted by the New York Yankees, the most historic franchise in baseball, in my opinion, 27 World Series titles, and what was it like getting called from Brian Cashman, the Steinbrenner family, and what was that feeling like once you got the name called?
Yeah, so it was actually Damon Oppenheimer that gave me the call. We had just left Baylor. It was a day before our state championship game. So we were in the state playoffs. We were traveling. We had practice at Baylor, and Mark Badgeko, Yankee scout, actually came out to the Baylor field to watch the practice. So we get to the airport or get to the hotel in Round Rock, and everybody kind of, because we pulled in basically had about 10 minutes to spare before the draft started. So we were all sitting. It was the baseball team, and we were just sitting there watching and watching, and then somewhere around like the 15th, 18th pick, I got the call from Damon, and I just kind of like stepped back and didn't say anything. And obviously he was like, "We're Slade is want to let you know we're going to take you with our first pick." And he's like, somebody would basically give me the details, but it was a short, sweet, about 30-second phone call. And That was it. But and then turn around the next day, we won the state championship. So as a high school baseball player, I definitely was on cloud nine.
Hmm. Excuse me. So obviously, when once you got drafted, and what was the first thing that you did after you got drafted from the Yankees?
I bought a dog.
Nice.
I did.
You did.
Her name was Cadence, Black Lab. She was therapy certified, went to children's hospitals with me, my duck hunting dog. Um, that was my girl.
Wow. Yeah. So now going through the minors, what obviously uh, you worked hard in the minors to get where you're at right now, and what were the main things that you learned as a minor league player before you got the call up from the Yankees?
I think the one thing that, and I think it's an advantage now that I work in the transitioning space with players now, and kind of looking at each player in an individual case of how do we look at transitioning, and the way that the uh,
Uh-oh. Hold on. Hmm.
I've never had outages at my house, and
Oh,
I have no idea what is going on. It's definitely my place because I think we're having like power surges right now, so I apologize.
oh, that's all right.
Um, what was the? I apologize. What was the question?
Yeah. So what were the main things that you learned as a minor league player
Oh,
that got you to the major leagues?
yeah. I mean, I think the one thing that you have to learn in this game is how to fail and how to stand back up, how to disassociate yourself with failure, and now in the business space and in the transitioning space, I see how crippling the idea of failure is to some people, and I completely understand it. But as many times as we fell in this game, right? There's probably only one profession that has a worse success rate, and that might be meteorologists. Besides that, there's not really a career field out there, especially on the position player side, where you have to face failure so often, and you have to do it in an audience, right? You have to do it in front of people, and honestly, that's one of the toughest things about baseball is just being able to be uh, mentally stable and mentally strong enough to be able to handle the day in and day out. Because that's what a lot of people don't realize is it's not like we just show up to the game at 7 o'clock, right, or 5 o'clock even. That's and you have a couple of show and goes a year. With travel days and things of that nature. But the life of a AAA baseball player is you're on a bus for 4 to 16 hours traveling to a location. You turn around and play the next day. Um, and you're at the field for 12 hours a day. You get there at noon, you get there at 1 o'clock, and you leave at 11 or 12 o'clock. And that's for a 7 o'clock game. So it's an all day deal. You have practice multiple times a day, things of that nature. So it really teaches you mental fortitude.
Hmm. So before we go any further, like I said earlier, we're huge Yankee fans. Me and my friends are huge Yankee fans, and when it comes to seeing we love to see young prospects. And when we watched your tape when you were in the minors and obviously in college too, and we came up with the comp for you. We said you could be the next Bryce Harper, the way you play the game and you hit the ball. And I'm sure you got comps like that before, but take me back. Are you the type of player that it doesn't matter to you if people compare it to other players, or what when you hear that, or when you see that come across somewhere, what goes through your mind when you see that?
Um, Trying to think of ask me to ask. I'm trying to think of a way to ask me that again.
Yeah, so me and my friends are huge Yankee fans, and we love watching the prospects tapes from college to the minors, and we came up with the
Oh, the comparables.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm losing. I missed the comparable part. All right. Um, to me, it doesn't really matter. Um, you know, there's so many variables and so many factors in this game that um, I think there's each player is so unique in his own way when you really are close to the game. And the comparables, whoever compared me to Harper didn't realize how much stronger his bat speed was than mine, because he hit balls way further than I would. So I just think it's an opinion, and in this game, there's so many different opinions that as a player, I didn't really want to care about opinions. I wanted to focus on what I could control.
No, because obviously we watched you play, and you're a great baseball player. I mean, you can't. You I think you were the most talented college players we ever seen on the tape. And but for you, so take me back where you were at the day when you got the call up, and when they called you, you have to say pack your bags. You're going to New York, and where were you at the day? What was the feeling like?
Yeah, I was holding my son actually. It was late one night. It was about 11:30, 12 o'clock. I had just gotten home and I was feeding him. I got a call and I answered it, and uh, it was Dave Miley, and he's like, "Hey, Slade, get your stuff. We need you. They're needing you in DC tomorrow." So obviously that was a very surreal moment, and being able to cherish that with my son, it was something I'm always going to cherish.
So when you all right, so as a young player, when you walk into the clubhouse wearing that pinstripes, and you see players like CC Sabathia, Jacoby Ellsbury, Mark Teixeira, Aaron Hicks, Austin Romine, Justin Wilson, Gary Sanchez, you go on, and manager Joe Girardi, Derek Jeter. Man, what goes to your mind when you see those all-star casts and being with that team?
I think it was a blessing, honestly, for me to be able to see how consistent Jeter was, and to see how Mariana handled rookies, and to see how Pettit gave his time to talk to younger players and things of that nature. Just showed me at a younger age and development age in the game that um, it doesn't matter who you are in this game. You can give back, and you can care about people, right? You can be on a team, and that's what makes teams successful, is having leaders like that are around. So I was very fortunate to be able to be around those names.
Especially being an outfielder, and you got to learn from Ellsbury Hicks. Brett Garner is a great example, great guy to learn from. And also you had Carlos Beltran, another veteran there. So was it was it an easy transition for you since you had those veteran outfielders for you with you?
No, because they took all the playing time. um, no, I mean, I was able to learn a lot about the game in a short amount of time. Um, just listening. When you're around names like that as a young player, you kind of keep your mouth shut as much as possible. And uh, it was a blessing to be able to hear the baseball IQ that, even, I mean, even not even in the outfield, but, Alex, McCann, CC,
Mhm.
these guys have been around the game for 60 years combined, and have a lot of knowledge there to share.
Yeah, I met CC in person once. Man, he's awesome. One of the best persons in the game, and great family guy too. So I got to ask you about you. You made your debut May 20th, 2015 for the Yankees, and take me back to that experience. What was that like? And were you nervous that day? What went through your mind?
I just kept repeating the same thing over. I started it immediately when I got the call, and I repeated it every day that I could, and continued that routine every day I was there. And it was just to remind myself that it was the same game that I played my whole life. Like, we can get caught up with what's around us, and it's great to take it in. It's great to be able to enjoy that. But you're also there to play the game that's in between the lines. So no matter what, it was still the same game, the same objectives, the same rules that I've done for 20 years. And I just tried to remind myself that over and over again, is that it's the same game.
Yeah, obviously you had a stint with the A's too, but what was did you ever think you could still play it in the league? You know the reason why it was a short stint career for you?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely reasons why, but long story short, it was definitely my time to be done. Look how good the guys are in the game now. I turn on a game and I'm like, yep, that's why I'm not in the game. So there's a lot of things that factor in that. I had a lot of injuries and surgeries, and was dealing with a lot of pain, and uh, you know, I had a very I didn't keep my mouth shut on issues that I really believed in and things of that nature. There's a lot of things that go into why I'm not, but something that I don't regret in any way whatsoever.
Yeah. So not like looking back at your career, working hard every day, getting to your goal, getting to the dreams of playing in the majors, playing for the Yankees, and playing football too at the same time. How grateful are you to be in this position and still being involved in the game of baseball, but in a different aspect?
I wouldn't have my son if it wasn't for the game of baseball. I wouldn't have my son if it wasn't for the, Yankees giving me the opportunity. So that's something I will never forget. Um, when I stood in, I was considered May 20th. I don't know what you're talking about on that debut. So I always tell myself it's the 2 days later. And I forget that I pinch ran for Teixeira in the ninth. But I started in center field, I believe on the 22nd with CC Sabathia on the mound. And obviously being in center field, hearing roll call, that was the moment that I realized that as a player, uh, as somebody that's worked as what you have to do as a professional athlete to get to that position deserves the opportunity and the best chance to experience that roll call in those moments like that. So that was really where my passion of what I do now stemmed from. Because I think there's an opportunity to help players, and that's my passion now, is being able to try to provide that moment for as many players as possible, and do it in a way that they're prepared for whenever that day comes. They're ready to transition into the next chapter of their life.
Hmm. So now, transitioning to your next chapter. Obviously, you're part of this program called More Than Baseball. But before we get to that, how did the CBS supplements come about, and where what does that entail? Where can people find that?
Yeah, so cbsupplements.com. Use the code Fountain of Youth. I had I had 7 injuries in my career, and 6 of them resulted from surgeries, and they all ended up being ligaments and tendons. And in 2014 was the first time that I researched and started reading on the effects of bone broth and uh, what bone broth brings to it, what collagen actually is. And I started by taking bone broth,
Hmm.
and it was one of human performance is never a cure all. Just as anybody that's in the performance world knows that it takes a lot of pieces to go the right way to reach peak performance. But the way that our diets in society are changing now, we don't eat internal organs like we used to, right? We don't stew down bones in the animals, and there's a lot of nutrients in those. And I believe it is a missing food group now. And I think we have enough research now behind collagen to know that. Uh, but obviously, trying to travel around with a gallon jug of bone broth on a bus isn't going to be conducive. So I started taking vital proteins, collagen. And 2017 rolled around, and I realized that I'm using a collagen because that was also the only NSF certified. So in the MLB, you have to take NSF certified supplements only. So I realized that the collagen came up in a beauty product section. That's where it kind of got its life and legs. And is the collagen was derived from beef skin.
Oh, wow.
So I started taking the marine collagen and dumping it into the beef. And then I started asking the question, from what I can read, there's potentially 4 to 7 different collagen sources. Why are we not getting more? So when I got out, when I retired in 2019, I actually just ran by a minor leaguer, Cole Enright, made an introduction to the company CB Supplements, and they were on the path of making the first ever NSF certified multi collagen, based out of Orlando, Florida.
Hmm.
So it immediately became a big interest of mine because I know the effects. I know how much it works. I now know that all 30 MLB teams supply collagen. I know that all NFL teams, majority of MLS, all of NBA, 90% of D1 colleges now all supply collagen.
Wow.
So now it's the fact of, we have, as an athlete, you're taking collagen to really pay attention to cartilage, your ligaments, your tendons, your connective tissues, which lead to injuries in the long term.
Hmm.
We know that whey protein is derived from animal muscle, and it's beneficial to human muscle to rebuild, strengthen. Collagen is the exact same thing, and type 2 collagen specifically is extremely beneficial to the connective tissues and ligaments and tendons. So as an athlete, we should be taking type 2. So I now can say that and come a week and a half from now, we will have our entire NSF line in. So we'll have the first vanilla and chocolate flavored, as well as the first and only NSF certified multi-collagen, which I'm super pumped about. It's a big time need. 76% of Tommy John injuries in 2019 were 16 years and younger. And these are all ligaments and tendons and ACLs and things of this nature that collagen directly benefits. So I'm super pumped where we're headed. We've got some big deals and partnerships coming out, and we are growing.
Wow,
We are growing.
we definitely have to check that out. I work out a lot in the gym, so that might help out too. And I gotta check that out.
You
And
got to get you some.
yeah, we gotta get some free samples in here, you know. But
Ah,
no, but no, no. This is awesome what you're doing for athletes and obviously other people that are trying to keep their body healthy, and especially for you guys. And it's amazing what I'm seeing now with the new technology we have. It's a new for these kids now. These kids are coming up playing sports. It's a big thing. So kudos to you guys. And now also you not only this, you have a program called More Than Baseball. How did that come about, and what's that like? What's the experience like been so far for you with that program?
an uphill battle, but everything great is. We had a really amazing year last year. We got our 501c3 at the end of 2019. It's More Than Baseball. And it's morethanbaseball.org is the website, and social media is our MTB_org. I set out when I got done playing to how can we bring a community together, and I got lucky to run across my co-founder Jeremy Wolf, former player with the Mets organization, and we started drafting this idea of More Than Baseball, and that was really in 2018. And it came to life at the end of 2019, and the objective and goal was, there's enough organizations that are butting heads and ripping this game apart. How can More Than Baseball come in, and how can we be the glue that holds everybody together? How can we be the magnet that brings and attracts everybody together to create an impact that's going to be greater than just as individuals? So it was an uphill battle. We had tons of players, and still run across players that are scared to be a part of a nonprofit around minor leaguers because they think they're going to get in trouble. We work with all 30 MLB teams in some way, shape, or form now, or the majority, I should say, about 27. So we've jumped over 20. We just finalized our numbers and everything for 2020. We raised $1.16 million and impacted nearly 3,000 players, which is really cool. And we operated at 96.5 cents.
Wow, that's amazing. And so what's it like working with Angela? Obviously, she's part of it too, and she's amazing, inspiring woman. And the talks I've had with her in the past, I can tell that she's a hard worker, and see you guys are all in. So what's it like working with her, like Angela?
It's great. I'm really fortunate. I have some powerhouse women that are around me, and I love it. Angela's great. Mylissa Lowry, Jet Lowry's wife, is awesome. And we've got some members on our board. Like, we're very fortunate to have a really strong team, and Angela brings that passion, especially on the education side. That's something that we really are focusing on right now and working on getting funding is a better education program, especially for Latin players. There's not a setup that allows Latin players to transition into the United States and to continue a career in life in the United States. And they want to. And we have a huge base of players that are wanting to figure out, how do I go to community college? How can I go to a skilled trade school so that way I can provide for my family back at home, because that's the reality for the cultures in Latin America is how can I stay in the United States because this is the best life I'm going to have and the best chance of being able to help my family back at home. So that's we focus on a lot of education and financial literacy, and we had 900 players go through our financial guidance course. We helped a little over 1,000 players apply for unemployment. We come in and work backwards. We come in and we ask the player, what is the issue? And then we go back and we figure out how to build it.
Hmm. Yeah, so I told Angela that our team is willing to help you guys out. If you guys need more help, we can chip in, me and my team, if you want.
I would love to discuss. I never turn down help.
Yeah. So, what advice would you give? What advice would you give to these young kids and young athletes, or that are trying to reach to their goals or dreams?
I'll use my name for a reference for a player just to use it. Slade Heathcott is a brand.
Mm-hmm.
It's a company. And the sooner that players realize that, the better they can make choices in that regard. This is a business, and yes, it is a dream, and yes, it is a game, but it's a $12.7 or $12.7 billion industry as well, or a company, I should say. So this isn't a game anymore. It's also your livelihood, and there's a lot of opportunity for financial stability outside the norm. And sometimes we just need to get outside of our comfort zones. And if you're going to be in this game, take advantage of it. Be sincere. Take care of your network. Your network in life and who you know leads to a lot of opportunities, and sometimes opportunities is all we need. Like a buddy of mine, Tim Lane, says, every day that we can keep hope alive is a good day.
Yeah, that's a great quote right there. So now we do this fun little segment. It's called a rapid fire segment. You ready for this?
Well, let's do it.
All right. So what are your thoughts on these? Now there's in baseball with the sticky stuff for the pitchers. What are your thoughts on that? And
Let them put it. I'd rather see a spin rate really high than get hit in the head with 100 miles an hour.
yeah.
I mean, a hitter gets to use it. There should be something. If it can't be super tacky, then give something, because it's just we've allowed it in the game for so long. That's what we always MLB does this all the time, right? They allow something in the game for 20, 30, 40 years, and then all of a sudden, oh, fans are saying something about it, so we're going to act like we just found out. Come on. Right? Like hitters have been able to use it. Why if pitchers can't, then why do hitters get to?
Mhm.
I just think it's a weird quote unquote unwritten rule, which I'm not a fan of unwritten rules.
Yeah. What was your most memorable game that you played in baseball and football?
Football would have been high school, Texas, Arkansas, packed out. NFL Network was there. I think we won like the second or third biggest rivalry in high school football. Baseball was the go-ahead home run against Tampa in September in 2015.
Hmm. So what was it like playing underneath the manager like Joe Girardi?
Uh, Joe was a badass. Honestly, you couldn't really like. He's gonna outwork you at every single day. He's gonna crush his workouts. He's gonna come in and be exactly who he is. And he was like a hard nosed, old school, respect type of guy, and I really enjoyed it. I liked Joe, and I know a lot of guys that feel the same.
Funniest teammate that you played with?
Brendan Ryan, no question.
Yeah. I gotta ask you this. Obviously, this year has been a struggle for the Yankees. Inconsistent, consistent, down and up. A lot of ups and downs this year. And obviously, we're back on the downside. For some reason, this team is not clicking on all cylinders. I'm sure you've been watching it, and we're 40 and 38, and we're in fourth place again, and this is not looking good. And what do you think they need to do to change this? They need to change it quickly because the Red Sox and the Rays they're heating up, and obviously the Blue Jays are there, and I think the Yankees are in a tough spot. What do you think they need to do?
They needed to sign number 72 back.
Yeah.
That's what they need to do. They need to bring back the old.
Come on, yeah, come
Oh man, they just need to sign me back.
yeah.
There's the answer right there.
Well, we need Slade back.
Uh, um, this game's so hard, man. It really is. Fans, it's hard to explain it. Um, you can do everything right and do everything wrong at the exact same time in this game. Um, Yankees have always been a streaky team, right? Like that's kind of what they've always drafted for. That's what they've always kind of played off of and things of that nature. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a turnaround the second half and have a pretty strong turnaround. Um, I feel like they spent a ton of money on starting pitching, and that's great. And they have all the pieces, right? Now it's just figuring out why they're not meshing together.
Hmm. Are you a big Twitch guy?
I am starting to be. We have our own gaming division at More Than Baseball now. I'm super excited to be launching a partner. I can't officially say it yet, but a really cool partner in the gaming space to start moving minor leaguers into the streaming space. There's so many players that are gaming right now, and not very many that have the money to afford buying streaming setups. So we just got several streaming setups donated. We've been doing Mondays and Wednesdays and random days here and there that we let fans join, and we have groups of players, 3 or 4 MLB, MILB players on there gaming together. So that's at Twitch at More Than Baseball. So tune in, go check it out.
Yeah, because we had Ben Verlander on the show last month, and he's a brother of Justin Verlander. And are you connected with him on Twitch? You should connect with Ben on Twitch.
No, we need to get me in contact with that guy.
Yeah, I'll send you his Instagram so you can send him a message because
Yeah,
he has his own show called Flipping the Bats show, and then he's on big on Twitch. So
I'll check it out.
yeah. So for you, who's your favorite outfielder to watch right now in the game?
And I don't watch much of the game, to be honest with you. I mean, just because my boy Ben Gamble.
Big Gamble, man.
Man,
What?
there's so many good players. I mean, honestly, from Kutch to man, we all know Trout, and we all know that, so I'm not even going to bring that up. Um, Springer is fun for me to watch. I like Springer, just playing against some things of that nature. So there's a lot of really talented players in the game.
Yeah, speaking of Ben Gamble, I remember him when he was with the Yankees or with no facial hair. Now he has like a long ass beard.
Yeah,
Brewers and speaking of stories, man, what's it like just to see your friend Ben just to work hard every day, get his chance, and now
gamer.
he's a great outfielder now.
Yeah, he's a gamer. He's the ultimate gamer. He's like if you think of a baseball player, that's what you think about. He works his ass off hard, 100% every time. Loves the game. Keeps his nose down. Great clubhouse guy. Like you couldn't have anything bad to say about him.
So for you, have you been watching the NBA playoffs?
I have not at all. I haven't. I can't tell you the last time I even watched TV.
Oh wow. So do you have any like what other upcoming events you guys have that people can find out or join?
Every Monday and Wednesday night, we have a Call of Duty night or MLB The Show night. We do some poker events. We will be launching a Call of Duty season in the next month or two that we'll have weekly contests and prizing and everything where minor leaguers and major leaguers will be gaming against each other. So we'll be having that come out in the next month or so.
Is coaching in your resume down the line in the future?
I don't know about coaching, but working with kids, yes, no question. I want to be more focused on the youth platform and bringing kids closer to the game and getting them the knowledge, and most importantly, getting the coaches around them the knowledge that they should have.
All right. The poor question here: have you been on CC's podcast yet with Ryan Rucco?
I'm not. I don't have the clout.
We got to get you. It doesn't matter about the clout. He's your former teammate. We got to get you on his podcast.
I would love to. I definitely would love to.
Yeah, his podcast with Ryan Rucco is amazing.
It really is.
I listen to that every day, and I'm trying to get both of them on the show somehow. But
Well, if I ever get there, I'll try to help you.
Favorite music.
Country.
Hmm. Favorite food.
Ooh, steak or crawfish.
Steak or crawfish. Favorite NFL team.
Saints. Who dat, baby?
I'm a big Dallas Cowboys fan.
Ah,
Yeah. So speaking of the Saints, what are your thoughts of watching Drew Brees throughout your career? And obviously, what a great guy, great person, and obviously he's gonna be a Hall of Famer, just retired, and obviously he's gonna be we can't replace Drew Brees, but what are your thoughts on his career?
I mean, what bad could you have to say about him? He's been one of my favorite players for a long time. I hope one of these days I get the opportunity to meet him. I've never had the opportunity to, and by far one of my favorite football players.
Yeah. So the last two things before we let you go, our team is part of this foundation called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. He's a former NFL coach, but now he's the offensive coordinator at Tennessee State with Eddie George, and we're trying to help him prevent human trafficking and making sure the communities stay safe and the kids stay safe. So I'll send you the page so you can go check it out.
Please do. That's a passion of mine. I support an organization now already in that space, but would love to hear more, especially because I know a couple of MLB players in that space as well.
And the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and essential workers right now?
Yeah, thank you for everything you do every day. My mother is one. I have a couple of family members that are, and obviously they don't get the choice of a lot of things what they do, but they always show up and always putting themselves in the way of saving lives. So no different than them to our armed forces overseas. Every day is possible because of those people.
Yeah. Tell your mom I said thank you for her service.
Thank you.
Yeah, and well said. And there it is. That wraps up episode 833 with former MLB outfielder Slade Heathcott. Go follow him on all social media formats. He's doing great things now off the field. He's part of this program called More Than Baseball. Go check that out. It's really inspiring. And he's also part of the supplement group. Go check that out. CB, what's the CB, right?
CB supplements. Yep.
Yeah.
Charlie Bells. So Charlie Bravo supplements.com.
Okay. Yeah. Go check that out, everyone. And this has truly been an honor. Thank you for joining the show today. You and your family stay safe. And obviously, like I said earlier, we would like to have you back on the show so you can meet the full team. But we would like to meet you guys in person one day to do some
I
events.
know we have to.
Yeah, but thank you again, and thanks. Shout out to Angela for setting this up, and
Yep.
thank you again.
Thank you guys.
Yep.